I'm Karen Clary. I'm Dr. Karen Clary. I have a doctorate in botany from the University of Texas at Austin, and I work with Texas Parks and Wildlife, and I do environmental assessments, which means I look out for the environment and try to protect our endangered species and then just all our wildlife. So that's pretty much what I do. And I do outreach. I teach botany. I teach botany here. So I teach people how to identify plants, and that's that's pretty much how I fill my days.
Mm-hmm. Now, are invasive plants causing a real threat to endangered species?
Oh yes. Endangered plants are a real problem because unlike the native species, which are endangered, every endangered species we have in Texas is native to Texas. They don't have any known enemies. You know, plants in an area have evolved over time to compete in that environment very well. And then you get an invasive that comes in, say from Brazil, like some of these grasses, and they've left all of their enemies behind. They've lost everything that eats them behind or predates on them behind, and so they don't have anything to worry about here. They really don't have much competition because the plants that they used to compete against for all these resources are gone. You know, they're not here, and so it's a big wide open world for them. And that's one of the biggest problems is that when an invasive species comes into an area that has native and endangered plants, it's such a good competitor, it often just outcompetes the plant.
I've really seen that, like, occasionally if we go down to the lake, just the horrible masses of hydrilla that just, they completely cover the entire, there's nothing else.
Yeah, they physically take over.
Yes.
They just edge everything else out. And we call those monocultures because they will grow and reproduce themselves and they don't leave room for anything else to grow there. And for example, I was down in on a roadway in South Texas, and I was looking for this rare milkweed. It's called Prostrate Milkweed, and it grows along the ground, and it's native just to that area, and it's quite rare. And I was looking for it, and I couldn't find it because the KR Bluestem, which is a very weedy grass, was growing up above it in a monoculture. I mean, just the KR Bluestem was the only grass that was growing there. Nothing else could grow there. And the Prostrate Milkweed grows on the ground, and the Bluestem was growing up, so it was really shading out everything and just forming this dense mat. But luckily enough, I kept looking, and the Prostrate Milkweed was still there. It was holding on. But its environment had totally changed, and I think it was just a matter of time before it wouldn't be able to grow there anymore.
What does that Prostrate Milkweed look like?
Well, it's a little vine, and it grows flat on the ground, and the leaves come out and sort of lay on the ground, and then, you know, the stem grows along the ground, and then the flowers come up. So it really does just lay on the ground as it grows. And the leaves are a little bit above the ground so they don't get, you know, fried by the heat of the soil, but pretty much they just grow flat along the ground. And some plants do that. We often call them ground cover.
What kind of seed pod does it have?
It has a milkweed seed pod. You know, it's kind of like a woody little beak, and it, you know, produces the seeds in the beak, and the seeds have little hairs on them or feathers, and then when the seed capsule opens up, they just fly up on the wind like a dandelion. It's very much like a dandelion seed.
So the bluegrass is really just destroying it?
Yeah, because, you know, even if the seeds mature and the capsule, the fruit pod opens up, the seeds can't get caught on the air because they get caught in the bluestem. They get caught in the grass. So, you know, in the stems of the grass. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult for pollinators to find the flowers of the milkweed because they can't find it through the grass. Yes, they can't. It's like trying to go through a very thick forest to find, you know, one little tulip. You know, it's just very, very hard to do.
It's bad. I have one final question for you. And this is probably the only hard question.
All right, the hard question.
What is your favorite or most hated invasive plant?
Oh, well.
Or invasive?
Geez, right now it's giant Salvania.
Understandable.
But it's not in my backyard. But it's really probably poses the biggest threat right now to our ecosystems because it's affecting water and wildlife that lives in the water, and water really is the basis for all life. So that's that's kind of, you know, you have a chain reaction. You know, if we lose our aquatic species and the plants and animals that live in that area, we're not going to be able to sustain what's around it. Okay? And then I live in Austin, so my other most disliked invasive species is Nandina.
Nandina domestica. Seems like that's really planted a lot as an ornamental, and that's very problematic.
Well, it escapes a lot. That's the other problem, is it, you know, produces a lot of those big, red, beautiful berries, and then birds and squirrels and animals eat them, and they distribute the seeds all over. So even if you would have to control the fruits before you could actually get rid of the plant itself. Because you can pull up as much of that plant as you want, or you can poison it, but there's so many seeds in the ground now that it's just going to keep coming up for a long time. And we do need to worry about that, truly. But I have some in my yard, and that's what I do. I just keep pulling it up.
That's what you have to do. Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Good luck.